How's it going, guys and gals? This is Advanced Warrior here, and welcome back to another Advanced Wars by Web replay commentary. Today's replay commentary is actually my very first Global League game in Standard. Let me just find the scene real quickly. Alright, so Standard. Obviously a lot different than Fog. You can see what your opponent is doing, but also your opponent can see what you are doing. So you will expect a lot more calculated moves. Personally, for me, it's a lot easier to use the move planner because you can see everything, so planning out your turns of attacks is definitely a lot easier. There's going to be a lot less surprise attacks because, you know, like I said, your opponent can see everything coming. So, like, one important strategy is if you're not properly covering your units, well then your opponent can see that and take advantage of it. So unit coverage is definitely something you cannot let slide in Standard. Yeah, it's just basically they see everything. They know how to properly calculate their turns if they do put the calculations in. But yeah, let's get into the map. The map here is called a River Supreme. It is a 2-base, 1 airport side with the with, you know, a few choke points by the bases, but it's a little bit of an overextension if you do try to get to those choke point bridges. The comm tower is very uncontestable. The HQs have black boats for some reason. Usually I'm used to seeing black boats in Fog to avoid capture cheese or whatever. Not all maps have them, but there are some maps I definitely do feel like they need a black boat. 1 versus 1 Marn, but if I said that right. But yeah, you know, a few terrain in the center, a couple of roads by a lot of the properties, and this was a tier 2 game, so let's get into the COs. So my opponent, their name is in question marks because their username was Chinese characters. They were playing as Eagle. Eagle's day-to-day is that his air units gain plus 15% attack, plus 10% defense, and only consume 2 fuel per day instead of the usual 5. That last one you usually do not see in effect a lot, maybe with transports, but yeah, usually I don't see combat air units last that long where their fuel will matter. Maybe a stealth, but I can't remember. His power, I forgot, lightning drive or lightning strike. Lightning drive gives all of his air units plus 20% attack and defense, which is usually not a power that you will see a lot because it is a very minimal buff. Unless the only time I would see anyone use lightning drive is when they want that plus 10% offense and defense for all their units, but that is what I consider a very desperate situation, or maybe if they're at the point of the game where lightning strike will take too long for them to get. And as you can see, lightning strike, his super is worth 9 stars. And it gives all of its air units that plus 20% offense and defense, as well as giving all of his non-infantry and mech units the ability to move and attack again. This is an insanely good power. A little bit on the slow side, similar with Hawk, but the payoff, I guess, is very incredible. Attacking twice in Advanced Wars is just insane. Dual strike. But it allows him to do a lot of things, such as you can move an artillery in range, and then you can fire with that same turn, and basically just get an attack for free, basically, with the cost of a power, obviously. The air unit can move in and attack, and then possibly move back away from anti-airs, which is another thing. Or they can just, attack, and then they can, attack again. Now, Eagle would like to have more units on the map, so 2 base is just a little bit less units compared to 3 base. Obviously, the more units that he has, the more he will enjoy his lightning strike. But it can still work. He's a bit better in Standard because Like I said, everything in standards is a lot more calculated and therefore is easier to calculate how you will want to attack with the lightning strike. So yeah, Eagle, I consider a very good CO. Not so much with smaller maps. This map is kind of average. My CO of choice was Max's direct units, except for his infantry and mechs, gain plus 20% attack power, which is actually enough for 2 tanks to kill 1 tank on the city. I almost mentioned the infantry example, but the infantry example does not apply. So, yeah, it's just 2 tanks can kill a healthy tank on a city, and that's just enough. There is a comm tower here, so it does a little bit extra. Probably better to have more damage over time. However, the indirects lose 10% attack and 1 range, which is kind of harsh for Max's artillery. So they can only cover like 1 space far and not anywhere further. So yeah, it's a little crazy to see that, but you know, his offense is really good, so you can make up with like battlecopters or even more tanks. You know, the more tanks you have, you just keep getting the first strike, you're gonna get some pretty good value off of it. Obviously Max, a more aggressive CO, wouldn't want the game to last too long because Eagle's powers are strong. His power is I always get this mixed up. His max force plus 30%. I'm sorry, max force plus 30% attack boost to all units, as well as giving all of those units plus 1 move. So again, not the infantry, but his tanks, his vehicles, and even his battlecopters are going to get that plus 1 move, which is really good, which is really nice, since battlecopters are always going to get 6 move. They could probably benefit from just getting that 1 extra space out and then getting that really huge first strike, which is not a bad normal power. His superpower max blast. I mixed it up again. Max blast plus 2 movement for all vehicles and air units, as well as plus 50% offense. So this could probably lead to like a game-ending push if this helps reach enough units and kills all of those units. So obviously Max a direct fire specialist. Not terrible. I'm still kind of trying to get used to playing with him, because I do like having artillery in the mix. But we'll see how we do. Obviously, a very aggressive CO, high firepower, something that's not too hard to take advantage of. The interesting thing about Max is that I chose him on this map. I do like Olaf in tier 2, but I chose him on this map because of all the terrain. I felt like the snow would be a lot less impactful. I mean, sure, they're all going to get plus 2 damage, but it's another nice thing to have with Olaf's power. And if there's like too many properties, too many roads, then the snow almost will not matter. Alright, so without further ado, let us begin. So, just very simple infantry builds, and I try to go for the forward most properties, and then eventually I have my units capturing the back properties. Not a lot of capture chains, maybe like these 2 here, but they're contested properties. Alright, so my opponent does go for that airport first. Obviously they're Eagle, so they enjoy their airports. Alright, so as you can see here, I should be in range to capture 2 properties in the middle. Starting off a little slow. And right now, nothing out of the ordinary, just plain infantry. Going for properties. I do have this one going for the comm tower a bit sooner. If I put it here, definitely could get that property. Wouldn't matter so much if I'm already like committed to getting that comm tower. And my opponent's first vehicle is a battlecopter, which not terrible. It's gonna force me to build an anti-air, but currently I only have 7,000. Oh, I built a tank. My first vehicle is a tank, and because I have that tank, my tank can only shoot at infantry. My battlecopter will enjoy first striking my tank rather than me attacking that battlecopter, as obviously I can't do anything. And here, this capture chain very likely won't happen because there's a battlecopter and an infantry in range. So the idea of that capture chain is unfortunate. I try to do my own blocking by literally planting my tank on the city. This battlecopter does not reach, thankfully. And this was a little dumb of me. Looking at it now, it was a little dumb. I tried to force him to use up his units. So he will not get that. And I build my own battlecopter to challenge his battlecopter. I definitely had the option to build an anti-air, which is personally I'm still unsure if that was what was better, because still my first standard game. There are different ratings in Global League, so this is like 800 rating standard gameplay. And of course he does go for it. Unfortunately, my battlecopter is might have to pull this unit back if I want to leave them all in covering range. So I do that. It is out of range of each other's battlecopter, and I go for this attack. Protects my infantry to get that city. Also drains just a little bit of income. I take advantage of the black boat transportation, and I'm able to reach either of those two cities depending on what I see my opponent doing. And I do build an anti-air for that battlecopter. I felt okay with this battlecopter here because, like I said, battlecopters do prefer to first strike a tank, not the other way around, so I felt okay with this. Alright, so my opponent begins capturing similar properties. My opponent could get this one, but if I went for this one wouldn't be able to interrupt, and that battlecopter moves towards the bottom side. And unable to first strike the tank because of the placement of that infantry there. So I do get that city, and I also go for that one. If my opponent dares to stop this cap, to interrupt this cap, that would be a little insane. I do have this infantry that can interrupt that capture. Battlecopter moves in, and I have my anti-air right by if my opponent decides to first strike at all. I don't have tank backup. If my opponent first strike this battlecopter and then first strike the anti-air, honestly, I don't know. I'm still a noob at standard. I build my own battlecopter and a tank, infantry to avoid base skipping. My opponent goes for that corner property and moves the tank back. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to cover this tank. So my opponent is going to start their 3-day capture on that property. If they cover it, they will be able to get it, but I do have plenty of infantry that can move in for it. Anti-air begins to move up. My opponent builds his second battlecopter. Oh, I'm not clicking on anything. Alright, so this was I'll just play the turn. So I do capture that property. My opponent didn't go for this property, so I guess I had good deterrence. And I do try to delay that capture because we are currently even. I could lose this one though, so I just want to slow down as much as I could. And here I go for a first strike. And here I go for an attack on this infantry, completely stopping it. However, it does leave the city exposed for my opponent to get the first strike. But I figured that with my battlecopter that's like right behind it, I thought it would be fine to have my tank here with my battlecopter that can first strike it. And here is the big blunder. I see this anti-air here. Maybe I didn't. I should have seen that anti-air here. I should have. But I don't know why I decided to place it there. Because this battlecopter's on a city. My opponent takes out this battlecopter, can put this tank on the city, and then I'll be less inclined to first strike it. I really don't know why I thought this move was okay. So my opponent at 4 HP, no, 4 points left for that bottom property, and they're just moving their infantry up. Anti-air free hit on that battlecopter. Tank gets the first strike, really good first strike from my opponent, so that was a mistake. Battlecopter moves all the way up, out of anti-air coverage. I expected my battlecopter to cover that, but you know, I didn't do. It was so. This was so obvious. I was so defeated after this turn. Now the tank's on the city. Free hit. It's like 3 free hits that my opponent got, and a good first strike. So yeah, that minor. It's a huge mistake. Obviously, I'm not gonna say minor. I felt like I was on the back foot after that turn. So just imagine my reaction when I came back and I saw this, and I was like, wait, how did this happen? Looked at the replay, and I was like, there was an anti-air there. Why did I not see that? Alright, so the anti-air cannot reach this battlecopter, so I got a nice first strike, and with a few infantry, not powered up by max, only powered up by a comm tower, I was able to kill off that tank, so a little bit of redemption there. So yeah, here I kind of want to force my opponent to move in and like try to punish them. Got the the anti-air does not cover that infantry, sadly. So I'm just like, you know what, let's just take advantage of the choke points and protect some of my units. Build a battlecopter, infantry. I only had enough to build like an artillery and base skip, but I'm max, so why would I do that? So I'm knocked down to 3 HP, but I am able to completely stop that capture. That infantry was sacrificed, not for the greater good. Another exposed infantry on the top. And all the units begin to move in. Double battlecopters here. I kind of figured maybe I could have like have my anti-air here and like possibly trap them, but I have no units up there. I have units down here. What I should have realized is that my opponent's base is up here, and it can reinforce this side a lot easier. My base down here can reinforce that side a bit easier, so you could kind of see the split here, diagonal split, where I'm supposed to have the bottom right, my opponent's supposed to have the top left. So yeah, still even on income, just because I don't have that property and they don't have this property. My opponent is moving in for a capture, and doesn't cover it. Still can attack with an infantry. Threatening my anti-air, threatening my air unit with his anti-air. So I think I pull back this turn. No, I just try to get the kill. Could have gotten a repair actually. And I tried capturing it again because I'm like, yeah, just go ahead and stick around. I will gladly finish you off there. So I retreat with my battlecopter and pull up with my tank. A little bit exposed on the city, but oh yeah, this tank can probably attack that tank. If it dies, then this tank can move up here, sit on the city. Oh man, I forgot how long ago this was. But yeah, this was a lot of bad turns. But I do have enough for a medium tank, so hopefully that's enough of a deterrent for my opponent. My opponent gets the free kill on the infantry, starts a 3-day capture on the bottom property again, and battlecopter thankfully backs away. Another free hit for my opponent. Can begin to capture that city. I don't know what I just did there. But yeah, moving units kind of slowly moving down. 4 battlecopters from my opponent. Oh man. The tanks are scary too. So thankfully they backed off from that attack. And yeah, just building more units, battlecopter, tank. So I do capture that property, and I do go for this hit here because there are no there's no tank that can hit my anti-air. So obviously these battlecopters do not want to stay forever. So I just kind of back up a little bit, move my tank up, position myself on tanks because I've seen how effective they've been. Interrupt that cap. Infantry's probably gonna die, but oh man, I really wanted that income security, didn't I? Move my battlecopter here as I was a bit afraid of like some kind of wall break. Build an anti-air. Day 13. My opponent's tank moves down at the bottom. They're likely to get that property unless I deal like 2 damage to it. I have a max force. I keep forgetting that. Ugh. I have a max force, so I could maybe do some kind of push here. Like, you know, I'm behind 5 units, but I'm hoping to like do a lot of damage with my max force this turn. Oh, where's that? Oh, no wait, never mind. So yeah, they're walling up again. A lot of battlecopters behind them. And the medium tank comes in. And I got the infantry. Day 13. Now, I actually did use the move planner for this. Like I said, it's a lot easier, a lot comfortable to use because because I can see everything. Now, there are several things that I could have done here, but I'd like to hear what you guys think. So, I use a max force. Tank can instantly kill an infantry. On planes, at the most they can do is on planes with a comm tower. So when reboot camp comes out, and there's no comm tower, then they can only one-shot infantry on roads. So yeah, I kill that infantry and I get a kill on the battlecopter. Get a first strike on the tank on the city. Another first strike here. Battlecopter. Great first strike on that battlecopter. Tank used to kill that infantry, but that was to allow my tank to first strike that anti-air. And here I get a first strike on that tank. Start capturing the property just to force them to do something about it. Don't know why I decided to pull back. Oh yeah, because they were definitely getting that city. So yeah, and I do just a bit more walling, and I thought, okay, this wasn't a terrible turn. Just that it generated my opponent a lot of power, so I'm just hoping this turn they don't get the lightning strike. Let's see here, they finally capture that property. I am now 2 income behind. They interrupt that capture. They don't kill it because there's not a lot of attack boost. First strikes the tank, suicides the copter to weaken my copter a bit and finishes it off. Anti-air and tank fall. Oh. Infantry first strike, tank first strikes from the city. Anti-air suicides itself, 2 damage to my battlecopter. My opponent gets a good strike on the tank. Medium tank moves in and the meter is full. I was hoping that would not happen. Now we got the lightning strike. The all-impressive lightning strike. See, attacks again. Is able to kill off that tank. Medium tank attacks my medium tank on the road. Tank just moves up because that's actually a good thing to do with Eagle. You build vehicles and then you pop the lightning strike, and then those vehicles can move that same turn. Battlecopter, amped up battlecopter can kill my medium tank. What just died up there? Another tank dies. Infantry gets the first strike. Probably could have killed, but I have like low 10% defense now. First strike that tank. Anti-air, yeah, anti-air is dead from there. Falls back, builds some infantry, and as we can see, 2 income behind, 7 units behind, around 35,000 estimated behind. I chose to resign this turn. Yeah, it's overall a very underwhelming first game from me personally, but obviously I definitely tried to learn from it. Obviously we know what the biggest blunder was. That battlecopter in range of the anti-air, allowing my opponent to get 3 free hits, and along with that first strike on that tank on the bottom, was definitely the turn that I felt like I was gonna have a hard time crawling back from. And I was just severely punished at this point. I felt like it was going to be very, very difficult to try to come back from this. Let's see here. Like, I generated a bit more funds, surprisingly. But, yeah, I saw the stats, I looked at the unit value, even in standard, and I felt that this was a game that, I felt like this was the point of the game where I really could not do a whole lot. Well, not anymore at the very least. So, lesson of the game, just be more aware. Just actually look at what your opponent has. It's like, you would think that you don't need to look at the replay because everything is in standard, but you still need to see what your opponent is building and then plan out your turns. I still don't understand how I wasn't able to see that anti-air and think, oh, that anti-air is probably going to kill that battlecopter. Or maybe I thought, oh, the anti-air will kill the battlecopter, but then I don't have something to punish the anti-air. No, that's not. Obviously, that wasn't the case of this game. All right, just one last look at the map here. Yeah, I had like, what I have, like two battlecopters, 2 tanks, 1 anti-air. What do they got? Like 1, 2, 3, technically 4. 4 tanks, 1 injured tank, medium tank, 1, 2, 3 battlecopters. Yeah, I can't first strike these because obviously I have less HP. Definitely a lot harder to come back from. But, guys and gals, that was my very first standard game. Obviously very, very different from Fog. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any thoughts about my game and how I played it, obviously I am open to hear them. I agree with you that there were a lot of bad things I did this game, but you know, I'm always up to learn. You know, just you lose a game, you come back, you learn from your mistakes, and you do your best in your next game. But obviously, don't rush it. That tends to be very bad if you try to rush to regain your points. Don't do that. But all right, guys and gals, I am Advanced Warrior, and you all have my warmest regards. Please take care. Ciao, ciao.